It is time to finally do this highly requested track from Dark Souls 3. We are actually going to listen to Gwyn, Lord of Cinder, and then we will listen to Soul of Cinder. So let's get started. All right, I'm really hyped for this. I have not listened to it yet, even though we beat Dark Souls 1. Yeah, let's go ahead and listen to this very well esteemed track. Love the piano. I just want to say, I feel like I'm hearing more dissonance being added to the bottom part as the track is progressing, which is very interesting, but you still have this very beautiful melody playing as well. And yeah, the fact that it seems to be a piano solo, that might change, but that does seem very different from the other Dark Souls tracks. So very interested to hear how this progresses. Oh, I really like this B section and the addition of that low octave that just happened too. It really is rooted in that darkness, that depth, right? Loving that addition of the octave bass notes. Yes. Wow. I know I'm pausing it at a bad spot, but did you hear that low piano note? You rarely hear notes that low in music in general. Like super low and super high parts of the piano, they're much less likely to be used in music. It's really interesting to actually hear those low piano notes being played for this track. Come on, do it. Oh, it didn't do it. Wow, there's so many different parts to this. And again, it's so interesting that this is a boss fight. It's almost like Gehrman, where the composition itself was so melodic and just heavy in terms of that emotion, right? Of the sadness, the tragedy that is Gehrman. And so it kind of feels like there's something similar happening here. I do know Gwyn you face right before the end of the game, so it makes sense, like a final boss, that this track is going to be different than the other tracks that you've heard thus far in the Dark Souls game. The fact that they went with a solo piano is just so cool to me. When I think of a final boss, I think of One-Winged Angel, Dancing Mad, you know, those kinds of boss themes from like Final Fantasy series, for example. Something that is supposedly the very last person you face before the game ends, and you hear this as their battle music. That's just so cool to me. So let's keep listening. Back to the beginning. Oh, interesting. Is it an actual fade out? Yeah. See, that is more so what I'm used to hearing when we have a video game track. It loops and then it does a fade out. That's kind of why I didn't listen to all of the tracks for some of the Bloodborne music. I didn't realize how that whole OST was structured. Now I know. This is more in line with what I was imagining, like when I'm listening to game music in general. Usually it'll loop at some point and then it'll have a fade out. Wow. That is quite the track. And again, I'm just kind of in awe with the different things that they used, how they utilize the piano to its fullest, pretty much. You have the addition of the dissonances as the music is progressing, especially in the low end. I was hearing more notes being added, so it felt more like a cluster instead of a chord. And then same thing with the very low notes of the piano that you're hearing in certain parts of the track too. Really rooting in that darkness and just how low and deep, right, this whole thing is. There was one section I do want to go back to real quick if I can find it. Here we go. 2 notes, 3, 4. Like, that is so cool. Just giving the player a little bit of room to breathe before it goes into this next section. Really like that after every little phrase, it adds another note to that chord. I love that they added 1 note each time, but it wasn't within the actual chord itself, like the root 3rd or 5th. They decided to use other intervals to create more dissonance as the music was progressing before it hit the next part. I'm really excited to listen to Soul of Cinder because I'm hoping and thinking that the same da 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 da, hopefully that's in Soul of Cinder as well. A lot of you wanted me to listen to Soul of Cinder after listening to Gwyn, so I'm thinking there's got to be some sort of parallel and similarities between the two. So without further ado, let's listen to Soul of Cinder. All right, this one's a long one, so let's see if I can pick out some of the similarities between this and Gwyn. Okay, this is very different, right? You go from a piano solo in Gwyn to a full orchestration here. I feel like there might be some polyrhythms or something happening in the strings in my left ear, and the horns are going crazy. I love that they have this little like solo moment happening. I haven't really heard the Gwyn theme yet, so we'll just keep listening and see if I do hear it. That choir was really cool. I like that they did a rubato there, just a very slight retard before they go into the next section. I'll back up a little bit. There it is! Oh, wow. Oh, chills. Oh, man. This is gorgeous. I have to pause it here because holy cow. Just the addition of the string instrument. I can't tell if it's a violin or a viola, but regardless, it is really pulling at the heartstrings here. Just having that little addition to the piano that we heard in Gwyn's Soul of Cinder, like, that is enhancing it so much. And like, it's making me like tear up, honestly. Like, I am actually tearing up quite a bit right now. Wow. I cannot wait to watch the boss fight for Soul of Cinder. I peeked a little bit at Gwyn, Lord of Cinder, when my husband was actually fighting him. I cannot wait to watch the boss fights for both of these. Like, what happens in this fight where it slows down like this? Honestly, I would be so honored if I had this as a remake of something that I made. Motoi Sakuraba originally composed Gwyn, Lord of Cinder, and this Soul of Cinder is by Yuka Kitamura. So she basically took Motoi's melody in Gwyn and wow, she really incorporated it and enhanced it. The original is obviously amazing as it is, but the fact that she was able to add the little strings here, add some percussion, really flesh it out even more than, the original, because the original is just a solo piano, right? So there's a lot that could be done to that kind of instrumentation to flesh it out more, and Yuka has definitely done that. She's did the same thing, adding those notes. Oh. And then we got the fade out. Wow. What an amazing track. Feels even better because I just listened to Gwyn, Lord of Cinder. So thank you guys for suggesting that. That was definitely the right call. I was able to immediately hear that melody from Gwyn in this track. So don't have words. I'm kind of speechless because this was just so amazing. The beginning is completely different too. Like, it takes a bit for it to actually get into Gwyn, Lord of Cinder. So it feels like this Soul of Cinder, you might not know its identity right away. And then as the fight progresses, maybe you knock its helmet off or something and it reveals Gwyn, right? Then you're like, oh my god. That's what it feels like is happening in the boss fight. Like, he's obscured, you don't know who he is or anything until later on in the fight, something happens and you have that revelation that he is Gwyn, or the soul of Gwyn or something, and you're actually fighting him again. That's what I'm thinking. I guess I'll find out when I watch the boss fights if I'm right, but that's kind of what it's feeling like, because musically, they're not revealing that melody until a bit later. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Thank you guys so much again for the suggestion. This was an amazing freaking episode of this reaction series. I'm excited to delve into even more Dark Souls music. I still have a bunch of other DS3 tracks on my playlist, so I will be reacting to those very soon. Right after this, I am actually going to film my reaction to Gwyn and Soul of Cinder, the boss fights, so stay tuned for that. If you like my content, please like and hit that subscribe button. It tells YouTube that you enjoy my content, and if you want to get early access to all of these reaction videos, you can also become a member and join the channel. You get early access usually about 3 days before I post. As of right now, I'm posting every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific time, but I'm giving members usually 3 days of early access, so you have a decent amount of time to watch the video before it goes public for everyone else. That's all for now, but I will see you guys in the next video. See you then!